Hello, my name is June Watson. I've been an actress for 67 years. And I hope you enjoy the video.
So June, lovely to see you today. We're going to start with what we call the What Happened to June Watson, even though, unlike many that I meet, you're still very much active and certainly working to this very day. But we'll go through the 25 quick fire questions, starting with question number 1. What is your full name given at birth?
Agnes June Henderson Watson.
What is your birthday and the year of your birth?
26/06/35.
As a child, where were you born and raised?
Edinburgh, Scotland.
If any, how many brothers and sisters did you have growing up?
One brother, one sister.
What is your earliest memory of going to the cinema or the theatre?
Probably 10. Going to a pantomime.
Growing up, did you have a favourite actor or actress whose work you really admired?
Yes. A film actor, an American film actor called William Holden.
Fantastic. And what was it about William Holden in particular?
Well, he was very, very, very good looking. One of the things he was in was Sunset Boulevard, but he was in a lot, he was very glamorous and, well, he was a wonderful actor, but he was really good looking. I think that was the main attraction.
Was there an actual event or trigger that first prompted you to seriously consider acting as a profession, and how old were you at the time?
I don't think there was a moment or anything, but when I was at school, at my grammar school, I was at a grammar school, and it had a thriving dramatic society, the school. One of the English masters was very keen on drama, and he had this, we did it after school, an actress called Annette Crosby, who you probably heard of, went to the same school as me, and she was kind of the leading light of the dramatic society, and I had to wait till she left, before I got a decent part. But no, I think it was then that it started to kind of get into my soul, as it were, that this is probably what I would like to do. So I would be 16, maybe, but my mother had sent me to drama classes because I was no good at the piano. I couldn't concentrate on learning, and my mother thought you should do something, have a, something extra in your life. So she sent me to drama lessons, little drama lessons, when probably I was about 8. But I didn't think of it as a profession then, I just enjoyed doing it. So I think probably about 16 was when I first thought, maybe I could do this.
Other than those early drama classes, did you ever attend a stage school or audition, study, or formally train to be an actor anywhere?
Well, I went to drama school when I left school at 18, but before that I hadn't had any training of any kind. No.
And what drama school did you attend?
It was called the Edinburgh College of Speech and Drama, and you not only did you do an acting course, you did a teaching course as well. That's why my father let me go. I mean, of course, there was nobody in the theatre in my family at all. I was the first person, and my father was a little bit worried. But he said, if you train to be a teacher as well, you know, you've got something. So I do have a teaching diploma, which I've never used. But that's what we had to do at this particular school.
Either before you began your acting career, or maybe when you were between roles at any point in your career, what other non-acting jobs have you done?
Oh, none.
So what was your first ever paid acting performance, i.e. your professional debut? And again, how old were you?
21. I left drama school and I went into a company called the Fraser Neal Players. And they were a summer season in Carlisle. And I did about 5 or 6 plays. It was a summer season. That was my first job. Did you ask me how much I got paid?
No, but...
No. I think the first week's earnings I got was £3. £3 a week. With the Fraser Neal Players.
And give me some context about that. £3, was that good? I mean, could you go out and...
Well,
did that give you enough disposable income to go and do anything?
Well, no, you get paid for your digs. You know, you'd probably have a room and, I don't know what, for 10 shillings or something. It was all old money, of course. And, you know, you'd have half a lager, perhaps, after the show. But you hadn't got any money to do anything other than, you could go to the cinema probably once a week. Go to a matinee at the, you know. But I mean, you didn't have money to buy clothes or, you know, you were still very much dependent on your parents then.
Right. Can you remember how old you were or what production you were working on when someone first asked you for your autograph?
I don't remember, but I think it would be in London. And I think it might very well have been at the Royal Court. And I would be in my 40s.
And going into the industry, did you consciously think about your autograph? Did you practice it? Did you construct a signature?
No, I didn't think about anything like that. You know, but I just wanted to work, you know. And I knew that I was what you call a character actor. You know, I played hundreds of parts that were much, much older than I was. You know, I always played everybody's mother or granny, you know, in plays. I was never a juvenile. Very rarely. I mean, maybe when I was in my 20s, maybe I played one part as a 20-year-old, you know. Mostly I was 40 or 50 or 60. I was a real character. You know, in those days when you did rep, you know, that was my position in the company. You know, I was the character actress, not the leading lady, the character actress.
At any point in your life or your career, have you ever been starstruck when meeting someone famous? And have you ever asked anyone for an autograph?
Oh, yes. I've been starstruck many times. You know, meeting people like Michael Dennison and Dulcie Gray. I asked for their autograph. They came and did a play in Edinburgh, one of the theatres, and I asked them for their autograph. They were sort of famous film stars at the time. And sort of people like that, like Margaret Lockwood and Patricia Rock and, those sort of people, that you maybe haven't heard of, but they were huge film stars. And they also worked in the theatre, they did everything.
Yeah, no, so, I've met many of those. Michael Dennis and Dulcie Gray.
Yeah.
Had a extensive film and theatre career.
Yes, they did, and they worked a lot together, So I think they were probably the first sort of famous people, that I stopped all that when I actually went in to the theatre myself. I stopped getting people's autographs. You usually when you're in a play, you'll get a programme, and usually we all sign each other's programmes. The whole cast, sign every programme, But I don't go out to the theatre and, I wouldn't go to the National and ask Cherry Jones, for instance, who's in The Grapes of Wrath. I wouldn't ask her for her autograph, no. Not now.
I mean, you've mentioned there about some signed programmes, but throughout your career, were you ever one for collecting any memorabilia? And what, if anything, do you still have in your possession today?
I don't have any. I mean, I used to keep programmes of everything I did. I mean, I had hundreds of programmes at one time, but it's all gone. I've just got rid of it, everything. And photographs, hundreds of photographs my son's got a lot of it, and my grandchildren, are now kind of quite interested in, they've been to see me now in plays, and so they've got kind of interested in that. So they would have lots of pictures of me or the odd programme, but I just don't keep anything anymore.
I think I know the answer to this one, but to perform in, what would you choose? Theatre, television, cinema or radio? And what would be the main reasons for your answer?
Well, I think my very favourite, I love them all, of course. I can't do radio anymore because I can't see, so I can't read a script. So I can't do radio. I love doing film and telly, but I think my most favourite is the theatre because it's my roots. It's where I started. When I started, you had to be a zonking great star, to be in films or telly. That was something that you actually aspired to. You didn't think of it as next week I might be in a film, or next week I might be in a telly. It was, you thought, that's years ago, that's years ahead. That's when if I ever get to be famous, That's how you thought of it. That's how I thought of it. And every aspect of the theatre I loved. I loved rehearsing. I love the rehearsal process. I love the audience there. The feeling of the every night is different because the audience is different. You don't get that on film or television. Sort of live. We're all in it together, that's what I like.
So which of your parts, performances or characters would you say people remember you for the most?
Oh, I don't know. I've never asked anybody.
If you're stopped at a stage door or you bump into anyone in the street, do they recall any?
Usually for television, actually. You know, people at a stage, you know, guys with programmes and photographs of you, which they want you to sign, are usually off the television. I don't know where they get them, but, you know, I've signed photographs when I was at the Donmar not very long ago doing the cherry orchard. I was signing pictures of me when I was 30, you know, and 40, and thinking, where have they come from? I don't know how they get hold of them. But it's mainly, very rarely do they have a theatre picture. I don't suppose they can get hold of a theatre picture, I don't know.
Right. Whether it be for what you did on stage or screen, can you name any of your own individual performance or performances that you are personally the most proudest of, or those that you found the most rewarding?
There's a lot of those. I loved playing the nurse in Romeo and Juliet. That was one of my favourites. Juno in Juno and the Paycock.
Small chain.
Yeah, Small Chain, which is a play by Peter Gill. That was a wonderful part in that. Most of Peter Gill's work, I've been in a lot of his work, and most of that I've loved. I did the Shakespeare. I was with the English Shakespeare Company when it was founded, and I was, you know, we travelled the world, and I played wonderful parts like Paulina in The Winter's Tale, and what's the name of the woman in Coriolanus? Anyway, the leading role in that, his mother, you know, that was a great part. I played Mistress Quickly in The Henrys, and Queen Margaret I played in The Wars of the Roses, you know, all the way through that. All absolutely wonderful parts. Recently I've done, you know, I did Carol Churchill's Escaped Alone at the Royal Court. Played a character called Vi, who was a murderess, and that was a great part. I mean, you know, very few parts have I played that I didn't like. You know, this play I did with Libby Council, you know, the part in that was awful. But very few parts were like that. I mean, most of the parts I played I really enjoyed. But I suppose more, you know, the great parts, of course you love playing them.
I'm sure there may be a few, potentially, but was there ever a part or a role that you still remember today that you auditioned for, really wanted, but didn't get?
I'm sure there are lots of those too. Oh God, I can't remember. No, I can't remember anything like that. I think because I didn't get it, I just kind of wiped it from my mind. Actually, to be honest, it's interesting that I don't think there are many parts that I didn't get. Probably television parts I didn't get. I would say more, because usually in the theatre, the kind of director knows you a bit. You know, or they've seen you in something, and they only want to meet you, but they've maybe seen you in a couple of shows. So they kind of know what you can do in the theatre more. It's a long time since I've ever had to do an audition. You know, I mean, I I go and meet people, you know. I've just actually, which I really shouldn't talk about it, well, I can't talk about it because I signed a thing saying I wouldn't. It's very hush-hush. It was a very, very famous film director. And I had to do a bit of ad-libbing, you know, a bit of, what's the word?
Improvisation?
Improvisation with him. But I haven't done that for years, you know.
Was there ever a part that you've had to turn down, maybe due to conflicts in your schedule, but you later regretted that decision?
No. Not that I regretted, no.
Can you name a co-star that you liked working with the most?
Michael Bryant.
And are there, how do I phrase it, are there any actors that you had a difficult time with, i.e. that you didn't like?
Yes. One, really. Only one. That if you paid me £1 million, I wouldn't have worked with him again. It was that bad. That's only one.
And that person was?
He's not alive now. But I don't know if I should say. Am I allowed to say? I don't want to offend anybody.
I respect that. That's fine. Rather than asking you who your favourite director was or is, I'll ask it in a slightly different way. Outline what a director needs to do to get the best performance out of June Watson.
Well, first of all, he's got to think I'm good. You know, there's no point in employing me and then sort of not being very nice. You know, sort of giving you... I mean, I did have a very bad experience with a director who'd seen me in something and cast me in a play and then obviously thought this woman is hopeless. It was so bad that I couldn't put a foot in front of the other, never mind speak. And it was, you know, you can't work like that. So the director's got to know why they've cast me in the first place. And then I think I like it when a director kind of leaves me alone for a bit so that I can explore and find things myself, and then a bit further into rehearsal then start to kind of, you know, let me know which bits he likes. And also you're working with other people, so you're getting stuff from everybody and it all. But it's nice to begin with that you don't start with the director saying this is how you do it, you know. No, you're angry here, or you're bitter here, or you're, you know, it's nice if they kind of let you find stuff.
And can you name any directors that did just that?
James MacDonald, Peter Gill, actually a lot of directors, I mean most directors, Michael Grandage, I've worked a lot with James MacDonald lately, so that's why I'm... Josie Rourke, most of them. Oh, lovely Benedict Andrews, who I've just worked with. You know, he was a bit the other way. You know, he didn't sort of say anything much. Sort of let you let everybody kind of do their own thing, which worked to a certain extent, but it's all got to be brought together and everybody's got to be on the same page, by the end. But if you've got 6 weeks rehearsal, which you do if you're working in London, you've got time to explore yourself, get it. That's what I like best.
You are hosting an intimate dinner party and you're able to invite 3 other guests to attend, alive or dead, in the profession, outside of the profession. Who would you invite and why?
Paul Schofield, Michael Strawn, and Deborah Finlay.
Great. And what would be your reasons?
Well, because Paul Schofield was one of the greatest actors, I thought, that I had ever seen. And I only sat next to him once in the National Theatre canteen. And he was so nice, he was a real, just an ordinary human being. And I would like to have spent more time with him, For that would be him. Michael Strawn is used to be the head of the box office at the National Theatre. And he knows everybody and knows about everybody. He's got all the gossip, So he would be very entertaining. And he's a great mimic. So he can, he sounds like everybody as well, when he's telling you a story. Say he's telling you a story about Ian McKellen, he sounds like Ian McKellen, all that. So he would be great. And Deborah Finlay, I just love her as a person, and I love her as an actress. I worked with her on Escaped Alone, which is a Carol Churchill play, and we were very friendly, and we've been great friends since. And she's just very entertaining and would be good in that group, I think. My dinner party really would consist of about 40 people, I've got so many people I'd like to invite.
I'm happy for you to name a few more if you would like.
Well, what's his name? Dirty Dancing, who do I mean? Patrick Swayze. I've met Patrick Swayze. I would invite him. He's dead, of course. All these great people, Laurence Olivier, Vivien Leigh. Can you imagine having Vivien Leigh at your dinner party? All these, but I'd have a wonderful mixture of these glamorous, stars with sort of, just chums. I'd have a lovely mixture.
Great. If you could relive one moment from your career once again, what moment would you choose?
Broadway, I think. Being on Broadway. It's more than a moment. We did 4 months, but that was a great... that was something I'd always wanted. It's something every actor wants to do. And it happened. So that was a great moment, or moments. Travelling the world. I've travelled the world. I've been to most countries in the world acting. I'd like to do all that again, But one moment, gosh, they're all... I've had such a wonderful career, you know. One moment. In a play called Small Change, written by Peter Gill, which we did at the Royal Court, I was in my early 40s. And a wonderful, wonderful actress called Marjorie Yates was in it with me. Though it was a four-hander. We were two mothers and we had two sons. And she actually committed suicide in the play, but she was a very kind of nervy person. She was giving a wonderful performance. But during this play, there was a moment when we were very poor people from Cardiff, and we didn't have anything, you know, and we were just sat on these two chairs, and a song started to play on the radio or something, and I just got up and just took her hand and picked her out of the chair, and we just started to dance. I think it was a foxtrot, you know. And it was just magical. And at the time, there was a very famous critic, I think it was the Sunday Times. I can never remember anybody's name, but he was a very, very famous critic. And I don't think he liked much, I don't think he thought much of the play, but he talked about that moment. And it was a very, very, very special moment, because it was just very natural, it was very moving, because my character cared so much about this other woman who was in a kind of state, you know. So yeah.
Great.
That'll do, won't it?
Looking back over your career, do you have any regrets? If you had your time again, would you have done anything differently or made any different choices at any stage?
Yes, but I can't say what it is. It's too... I made a mistake. But quite by accident, I made an error, and it had consequences. So I regret that.
Right.
I can't say what it is.
That's fine. June, tell us something about you or your career that most people would not already know.
Oh, well, a lot of people don't know me from Adam. I mean, you know, I'm not... I mean, in the last few years, I've suddenly kind of taken off a bit, you know, because I've got into my 80s, and because a lot of people in their 80s can't learn, or they think they can't learn, so they panic. But because I suffer from a thing called macular degeneration, which means I can't see very well, as my sight got worse, my concentration got better. So I have no difficulty in learning lines. So in the last kind of few years, I've actually done rather well. You know, I've kind of had some great opportunities, and I'm about to have another one, you know. I mean, most people, you know, wouldn't know me, actually. I'm talking about the person in the street. Because I'm not a television, you know, early days on television, I was in Z cars. I was kind of police sergeant camera. I was in quite a lot of episodes of Z-Cars. I was in a series called Angels, which was all about nurses. But I mean, that's all years ago. And I mean, I haven't been in anything long-running like EastEnders, Coronation Street. That's, people know who you are because you're in their front rooms every night, you know. I mean, most people, and the only people that know who I am are people in the profession. You know, you could talk to another actor, Libby Council, and talk to her, and she'll say, "Oh yes, I know June. She's good or she's bad, whatever she thinks." What else What else about me? So I'm not. I actually, strangely, I mean, I did at one point in my career, kind of midway through, when I sort of started in London, you know, and started to get opportunities and everything, it did bother me quite a bit to begin with, that I wasn't recognised, that I wasn't thought of highly, you know. Yes, it did worry me for quite a long time, but I got over it, and I thought that this is not what I'm supposed to be. I'm not a leading person. I mean, I have played the odd leading role, but I'm not really a leading lady. I'm a supporting actress, and the only award I've ever won was for a supporting role, you know. So I've come to terms with all that, and actually I quite like it now, because you know, you can get out the theatre quicker, you know, and, you know, you don't have to speak to people that, you know, I mean, everybody's very nice, but, you know, it can take a long time and you're tired, you know. So, I mean, you know, I'm quite happy, really, now.
So the final question, June, and this is very much aimed at people that are no longer working, and as we've said, you're still very active. But finish the sentence. What happened to the actress June Watson?
What happened to her?
For you, I would say, what is June Watson doing today?
As an actress, June Watson is about to start rehearsing a new play in the West End with the trendiest director, you know, who everybody wants to work with two wonderful stars, and probably a very, very good cast. I mean, what else would I? What else? I mean, that's wonderful for somebody who's 89, who can still do that, you know, at my age. I've just done the Cherry Orchard and the Donmar, which was a huge success. You know, and I've got this job because of that job. You know, it's absolutely wonderful. I mean, I know there are actors. I mean, Sian Phillips, for instance, wonderful actress. I think she's 91, 92 perhaps. She's still working. But there aren't many of us still going. You know, in you know. I mean, Time Out, when I did the Cherry Orchard, Time Out, in one of the reviews said, "Oh, and it's wonderful that June Watson will be 90 next year, and she's still going." And I thought, why are you telling the world I'm 90? I don't, you know, that's going to stop people from employing me. Because after a certain age on the television and in film, not so much in the theatre, but the insurance is so astronomically high that they really have to want you for a telly, you know. And if it's a small part, if you're only wanted for a day maybe, that's okay. But if it's a big part, you're going to cost them a lot of money because you're over 85. So a lot of the time you don't get the job because they'll get somebody who's 84. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand.
So it does, you know, I mean, apart from getting old and getting infirm, you know, and things that happen to people when they get older, and in my case, my eyesight's terrible, you've got all that as well. You've got people who aren't prepared to take the risk on you, and so you're kind of always kind of fighting a bit of a battle, you know, when you get on a bit. But at the moment, things are okay. Things are...
So I wish you all the very best in the play.
Thank you.
And thank you very much.
Thank you.